Thank you, Ashley. And now we welcome in reporter Monica Switlik, who did her first ever news story for the Rundown this week. And Monica, I understand you had a lot of fun filming this, and it was a very cultural affair.
That's right, Jim. This week was International Week, and as part of International Week this Thursday, there was an event called Food and Games Around the World. I attended this event to get a taste of the different cultures on campus. Let's take a look. Whether students came hungry or wanting to play some games, they were able to come to Food and Games Around the World to learn a little bit about different cultures. In Daly's Mercer Room at Rider University, the diversity clubs all came together to present to Rider students what cultural food or games their club had to offer. Many students coming into Daly's saw an event going on in the Mercer Room. Curiously, they came in to check it out. Some of the clubs present were the Chinese Club, Branch Out, Risa, the French Club, and the Polish Club. I spoke with one student to hear her thoughts on how she thought the event went.
I really enjoyed the Food and Games Around the World event today on campus. It was really great. It reminded me of a culture fest that we had in my high school. The food was awesome, and I'm really looking forward to learning about more culture groups on campus and getting more involved.
Students were able to fulfill their hunger needs with jerk chicken skewers, German potato salad, egg rolls, and delicious pierogies. After grabbing a bite to eat, the attendees were able to play games like Dance Dance Revolution or video games. Here, two students are battling it out in a game of checkers. Looks like they're really concentrating on this one.
Hi, I'm Pooja Mahesh. I'm SGA's Diversity Chair. I was the person responsible for Around the World Food and Games. It was a great turnout. About 80 students showed up. The one reason I wanted to do this event was because it gave a chance for the diversity clubs to work together and give Rider University a little taste of what the clubs are all about. So I hope everyone enjoyed. It was a great event.
And in order to prepare for this Saturday's Masquerade Ball, students had a chance to make their own fancy masks using feathers and glitter.
I'm going to the Masquerade Ball this weekend, so right now I'm making my mask.
In the future, students do not have to travel around the world to try different cultural foods. All they have to do is come to Diversity Club events. I do have to say the event was a big success, especially those delicious pierogies. They were really a big hit. Then again, Jim, who doesn't like free food?
I like free food, and I'll tell you what I like better than free food, free pierogies, because I'm Slovakian by my descent, and my grandfather used to make them all the time, and especially he would fry them with onions. It was delicious. Don't you agree how delicious they are?
And I'm Polish, so that's what we eat in my family too.
Well, we thank you for your time and effort this week, Monica. Up next, I hope you enjoy our Rundown Sports Report with our one and only Sam Moko.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's business segment, Wall Street to Your Street. As of right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average has increased 0.8%. The S&P 500 index has decreased 0.23%, and the NASDAQ has decreased 0.19%. The U.S. economy is growing, but not as fast as predicted. This morning, the U.S. GDP was released, and it had missed economists' expectations. The expectation was a 3% growth rate, but GDP only expanded at a 2.5% annual rate. This also put downward pressure on the dollar, making the yen stronger against it. Is Google the new predictor of the economy? According to research by academics, when searches increase for terms such as debt or unemployment, this means that people are worried about the economy. As a result, the stock market decreases as these searches increase. The opposite also occurs. As people search less for these terms, the stock market improves. Go figure. The housing market is strengthening. For 16 straight months, housing prices have risen. As a result, the #1 U.S. home builder, D.R. Horton's quarterly profits have almost tripled. More Americans are buying homes because of the record low interest rates and rising rents. D.R. Horton's shares went up 7% before the closing bell yesterday. Thank you for watching Wall Street to Your Street. Back to you, Jim. Thanks, Jim. Welcome to our first ever Wall Street to Your Street business segment of the Rundown. Yesterday's stocks closed on a high with Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ closing up between 0.2 to 0.4%. The Dow Jones gained 55 points, recovering half of its loss from a day before. A big mover was Best Buy, which increased 16% after it announced that it would feature boutique stores that sell Samsung products at more than 1,400 U.S. locations. Meanwhile, in Japan, stocks jumped and the yen sank after dangerous and aggressive monetary policy measures are being taken in Japan to revive economic growth. This third largest economy has been in a 2-decade deflationary period. The Bank of Japan wants to increase the country's money supply with the goal of encouraging people and businesses to borrow and spend. Its goal is to beat the 2% inflation target. Now on to unemployment. Many more people filed for unemployment benefits this week than expected. According to the Labor Department, 385,000 people filed this week, which is an increase of 28,000 from a week ago. Facebook just got serious about going mobile with the goal of having more people interact with Facebook on their smartphones. CEO Mark Zuckerberg rolled out a new software called Home for Android phones. With this new software, rather than having apps be the main focus of smartphones, Facebook wants people to be the main focus by having Facebook come up on their home screen to bring about more people interaction. And that's this week's business segment. Join me next week on Wall Street to Your Street. I'm Monica Switlick. Now back to you, Jim. Thanks, Jim. On Thursday, U.S. stocks fell. The S&P 500 index lost 10.4 points. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 81.45 points, and the Nasdaq Composite decreased 38.31 points. The Bitcoin bubble is not a bubble anymore. After this virtual currency has been selling at $266, it went down as low as $50 this week. The Bitcoin was developed by an anonymous hacker 4 years ago. Lenovo's shares soared as there has been talk that Lenovo, the Chinese personal computer maker, might be buying parts of IBM's server division. If this deal happens, it won't be the first time Lenovo would be buying a part of IBM. In 2005, Lenovo bought IBM's PC unit. Microsoft's Chief Financial Officer Peter Klein will be exiting Microsoft for good after declining sales of personal computers and the slow reception of Windows 8. Klein has been part of Microsoft's acquisition of Skype and the social media site Yammer. He has been with Microsoft for 11 years and served as CFO for 3.5 years. Thanks for joining me on Wall Street to Your Street. See you next week, and back to you, Jim.